One Direction, commonly abbreviated as 1D, are an English-Irish pop boy band based in London, comprised of Niall Horan, Liam Payne, Harry Styles, and Louis Tomlinson. Zayn Malik departed from the band on March 25, 2015. They signed with Simon Cowell's record label Psycho Records after forming and finishing third in the 7th series of the British televised singing competition The X Factor in 2010. Propelled to international success by social media, One Direction's 4 albums, Up All Night, 2011, Take Me Home, 2012, Midnight Memories, 2013, and 4, 2014, broke records, topped charts in most major markets, and generated hit singles including What Makes You Beautiful, Live While We're Young, Story of My Life and Steal My Girl. Their achievements include 5 Brit Awards, 4 MTV Video Music Awards, 11 MTV Europe Music Awards, and 19 Teen Choice Awards out of 19 nominations, among many others. According to Nick Gatfield, the chairman and chief executive of Sony Music Entertainment UK, One Direction represented a $50 million business empire by June 2012. They were proclaimed 2012's top new artist by Billboard. According to the Sunday Times Rich List, by April 2013, they had an estimated personal combined wealth of £25 million, $41.2 million, making them the second wealthiest musicians in the UK under 30 years of age. In 2014, Forbes listed them the second highest earning celebrities under 30, with the group earning an estimated $75 million from June 2013 to June 2014. After the release of 4, One Direction became the first band in the US Billboard 200 history to have their first 4 albums debut at number 1. Their third album, Midnight Memories, was the biggest-selling album worldwide of 2013 despite being released in later November. In 2014, Billboard named One Direction the top artist of the year. In March 2015, Malik departed the group, citing his desire to live as a normal 22-year-old who is able to relax and have some private time out of the spotlight, leaving the band to continue as a 4-piece. In 2010, Niall Horan, Zayn Malik, Liam Payne, Harry Styles, and Louis Tomlinson auditioned as solo candidates for the 7th series of the British televised singing competition The X Factor. They failed to progress to the boys category at judges' houses but were put together to form a 5-piece boy band at Wembley Arena, in London, England, in July 2010, during the boot camp stage of the competition, thus qualifying for the group's category. Nicole Scherzinger, a guest judge, and Simon Cowell have both claimed to have come up with the idea of forming the band. In 2013, Cowell said that it took him 10 minutes to put them together as a group. Subsequently, the group got together for 2 weeks to get to know each other and to practice. Styles came up with the name One Direction. For their qualifying song at judges' houses, and their first song as a group, One Direction sang an acoustic version of Torn. Cowell later commented that their performance convinced him that they were confident, fun, like a gang of friends, and kind of fearless as well. Within the first 4 weeks of the live shows, they were his last act in the competition. The group quickly gained popularity in the UK. One Direction finished in 3rd place, and immediately after the final, their song Forever Young, which would have been released if they had won the X Factor, was leaked onto the internet. Shortly afterwards it was confirmed that One Direction had been signed by Cowell to a reported £2 million Psycho Records record contract. Recording for their debut album began in January 2011, as they flew to Los Angeles to work with Redone, a record producer. A book licensed by One Direction, Forever Young, Our Official X Factor Story, was published by HarperCollins in February 2011, subsequently topping the Sunday Times bestseller list. The same month, the boy band and other contestants from the series participated in the X Factor live tour. During the tour, the group performed for 500,000 people throughout the UK. After the tour concluded in April 2011, the group continued working on their debut album. Recording took place in Stockholm, London, and Los Angeles, as One Direction worked with producers Carl Falk, Savan Kacha, Steve Mack, and Rami Yacoub, among others. 2011-12, Up All Night. Released in September 2011, One Direction's debut single, What Makes You Beautiful, reached number 1 on the UK singles chart, after becoming the most pre-ordered Sony Music Entertainment single in history. Subsequent singles, Gotta Be You and One Thing, peaked in the UK singles chart top 10. In November 2011, they signed a record deal with Columbia Records in North America. Steve Barnett, the CEO chairman of Columbia Records, said it was not a difficult decision to sign One Direction. I just thought there was a void, and maybe they could seize and hold it. What Makes You Beautiful was released in the United States in February 2012, where it debuted on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 28, becoming the highest debut for a British act since 1998. It has sold over 4 million copies in the US. Upon arrival in the US in February 2012, One Direction embarked on a radio promotion spree, as well as their first North American concert tour as an opening act for Big Time Rush. They made their first US television appearance on The Today Show, at the Rockefeller Center. An estimated 15,000 fans descended on the plaza. Critically commended for its appeal to the teenage audience, One Direction's first studio album, Up All Night, was released globally in early 2012. It became the UK's fastest-selling debut album of 2011, and topped the charts in 16 countries. The album bowed atop the Billboard 200 chart, making One Direction the first British group in US chart history to enter at number 1 with their debut album. They were inducted into the Guinness World Records as a result. Up All Night also became the first album by a boy band to sell 500,000 digital copies in the US and, by August 2012, had sold over 3 million copies worldwide. In April 2012, an American band that went by the same name filed a trademark infringement lawsuit. 49. According to the lawsuit, the US band had been using the name since 2009, recorded 2 albums and filed an application to register the trademark name in the US in February 2011. The US band said they were entitled to 3 times the profits made by the UK band, as well as compensatory damages in excess of $1 million. The lawsuit claimed that Syco and Sony Music chose to ignore the plaintiffs' rights and willfully infringed them after they realized in early 2011 that the 2 bands shared the same name. Syco Records subsequently countersued, suggesting the US group was trying to make money from One Direction's success and that the boy band was the first to use the name in US interstate commerce. The BBC reported in September 2012 that the UK group won the legal dispute over the right to keep using their band name. The US band changed its name to Uncharted Shores. The change of name was announced in a joint statement that also noted both groups were happy with the outcome. In December 2011, One Direction embarked on their first headlining UK concert tour, the Up All Night Tour. In early 2012, they announced Australasian and North American legs of the concert tour, with dates from April to July 2012. The tour, comprising 62 shows, was met with positivity both critically and commercially. A recording of a concert from the tour, Up All Night, the live tour, was released in May 2012. In addition to the DVD topping the charts in 25 countries, its global sales had exceeded 1 million copies by August 2012. One Direction's first book to be licensed in America, Dare to Dream, Life as One Direction, published in the United States in May 2012, topped the New York Times bestseller list. In June 2012, Nick Gatfield, the chairman and chief executive officer of Sony Music Entertainment UK, stated how he expects One Direction to represent a $100 million business empire over 2013. Gatfield was quoted as saying, What you might not know about One Direction is that they already represent a $50 million business, and that's a figure we expect to double next year. In August 2012, the group's record sales exceeded 8 million singles, 3 million albums, and 1 million DVDs, and they performed What Makes You Beautiful at the 2012 Summer Olympics closing ceremony in London, which represented the handover to Rio de Janeiro as the host of the 2016 Summer Olympics. One Direction were the biggest winners of the 2012 MTV Video Music Awards, winning their 3 nominations on September 6, 2012, including Best New Artist. One Direction's second studio album, Take Me Home, was released in November 2012. Take Me Home was written in groups and has an average of just under 5 songwriters per track. Savan Kacha, Rami Yacoub, and Carl Falk, who composed One Direction's hits What Makes You Beautiful and One Thing, spent 6 months in Stockholm developing songs for the album, and were able to shape melodies around their tones. One Direction began recording the album in May 2012, in Stockholm at Kinglet Studios. The album cover artwork features the group surrounding a traditional British K2 red telephone box, a familiar sight on the streets of the UK. Take Me Home garnered mixed reviews from music critics. There was praise for its quality of production, while it was criticized for its generic, rushed nature. The album's lead single, Live While We're Young, released in September 2012, reached the top 10 in almost every country it charted in and recorded the highest one-week opening sales figure for a song by a non-US artist in the US. The album and its second single, Little Things, both debuted at number 1 in the UK simultaneously, something that One Direction became the youngest act in British chart history to achieve. Take Me Home sold 540,000 copies in its first week in the US, debuted atop the Billboard 200, and topped the charts in more than 34 other countries. Additionally, Up All Night and Take Me Home were the number 3 and number 4 best-selling albums of 2012 globally, each album selling over 5 million units worldwide. One Direction performed Little Things at the 2012 Royal Variety Performance in the presence of Queen Elizabeth II, and headlined a sold-out show at New York City's Madison Square Garden on December 3, 2012. In February 2013, One Direction released a cover version of One Way or Another and Teenage Kicks, One Way or Another, Teenage Kicks, as the 2013 comic relief single. As part of their involvement with the UK charity, One Direction travelled to Ghana to volunteer at a children's hospital, visit a school and make donations. In addition, the official charts company revealed that One Direction had sold 2,425,000 records in the UK by February 2013. One Direction embarked on their second concert tour in February 2013, the Take Me Home Tour. The concert tour consists of over 100 shows in Europe, North America, and Australasia. Ticket sales reached 300,000 within a day of release in the UK and Ireland, which included a 6-date sellout at London's The O2 Arena. In the Australian and New Zealand markets, tickets grossed $15.7 million, with all 190,000 tickets being sold for the 18 shows to be held. The tour received critical acclaim from music critics who praised the band's live vocals and their performance abilities, and was a commercial success, selling 1,635,000 tickets from 134 shows. 2013-14, Midnight Memories and This Is Us. One Direction, This Is Us, a 3D documentary and concert film about the group directed by Morgan Spurlock and produced by Spurlock, Ben Winston, Adam Milano, and Simon Cowell, was released by TriStar Pictures on August 30, 2013. The film features the song Best Song Ever, released on July 22, 2013. Best Song Ever slated to serve as the lead single of the group's third studio album Midnight Memories. The film was a box office success, topping the UK and US box offices and grossing over $60 million worldwide. It is currently the fourth highest grossing concert movie. On May 16, 2013, the band announced their first stadium tour, the Where We Are tour, which began in April 2014. They plan to donate £200,000 of the tour's ticket sales to the Stand Up to Cancer charity. On May 30, 2013, the band announced a partnership with Office Depot on a limited edition capsule collection of back-to-school supplies. They also confirmed that a portion of the proceeds from the alliance would go toward an anti-bullying educational program intended to promote kinder behavior in schools. The campaign has raised over $1 million. On November 23, 2013, in support of Midnight Memories, the band participated in One D Day, a day dedicated to One Direction fans. The day constituted of a landmark 7.5-hour socially interactive YouTube live stream featuring live band performances, celebrity guests including Simon Cowell, Cindy Crawford, Piers Morgan, Jerry Springer and many more. The event was unique not only because of its long runtime but the unprecedented use of social media whereby fans got to participate in the show, interact directly with the band via Google and Hangout. Midnight Memories was released globally on November 25, 2013. The album was described by the band as edgier and as having a slightly rockier tone than their previous efforts. Story of My Life was revealed as the second single of the album, with each member posting a photo from their childhood. Afterwards, the cover of the single was posted on the One Direction account. On October 11, 2013, One Direction revealed the cover and track listing for the album, with the track listing being revealed through a Midnight Memories track quiz on Twitter. It was confirmed that the band would perform on both the American and British versions of the X Factor in order to promote their album. The album debuted at number 1 in the UK and in the US, making them the first group to debut at number 1 on the Billboard 200 with its first 3 albums, and the second to reach the top after the Monkees in 1967. In December 2013, One Direction broke yet another UK sales record with the DVD and Blu-ray release of their 3D concert film This Is Us. Nearly 270,000 copies of the film were sold in the UK within 3 days of its release, beating the record previously set by Michael Jackson's This Is It in 2010 by 10,000 copies. The group was named Top Global Artists of 2013 by the IFPI because of strong digital downloads, physical albums, on-demand streams, and music videos. On April 27, 2014, it was confirmed that One Direction were working on their 4th studio album. Good Charlotte was reported to have collaborated with Payne and Tomlinson for writing songs. Payne claimed that the album would be edgier and the group have written most of the songs for it. On July 21, One Direction announced an upcoming concert film as an initial home media release titled One Direction, Where We Are, the concert film, which documents the 28 and June 29, 2014 concerts that took place in San Siro Stadium during their Where We Are tour. After the announcement, the band announced the film will also have a limited 10-11 October 2014 international cinema release before its home media release in November 2014. An autobiography book Who We Are has been announced for a release on September 25, 2014. On September 8, One Direction announced their 4th studio album to be titled 4, set to be released on November 17, 2014. As part of the announcement, one of the songs from the album, Fireproof, was released for free download for 24 hours on their official website. On September 14, it was announced the album's first official single Steal My Girl would be released on September 29. The music video was released on October 24. On October 28, it was reported that another One Direction music video was in production, suggesting that another single would be released. It was later confirmed that the second single of the album would be Night Changes. The track was released on November 14, 3 days before the album's release. 4 was released on November 17, topping the Billboard 200 and the UK album chart once again. On November 22, it was reported that tour manager Paul Higgins, who has been with the group since its formation, has parted ways with the band. The band confirmed at the BBC Music Awards that following the success of 4, they had hopes to continue to go somewhere else on their fifth album. On March 25, 2015, the band released a statement saying that Malik was leaving the group, and that the remaining members would continue as a four-piece act. Musical style. Their second studio album, Take Me Home, 2012, is characterized by rock-inherited pop, prominent electric guitar riffs, bright synthesizers, a homogeneous sound and message, and the pitch-correcting software Auto-Tune. Alexis Petridis of The Guardian interpreted its signature sound as a peppy, synth-bolstered take on early 80s new wave pop, heavy on clipped rhythms and chugging guitars, which, he said, is at least an improvement on the substitute contemporary R&B that was once the grim lot of the boy band. John Caramanica, writing in the New York Times, considered the album far more mechanical than their debut album, although noted that it is sonically and lyrically similar. The album's lyricism speaks of falling in love, unrequited love, the insistence that flaws are what make a person unique, commitment, jealousy and longing for past significant others. Erica Futterman for Rolling Stone favored their live acoustic performances as both showing Horan's ability to play guitar, as well as One Direction's admirable live vocals. There was no need to worry about a backing track or a bum note, a pleasant realization at a pop show. Herald Sun S. Cameron Adams opined that One Direction have strong pop voices. Melody Lau of the National Post wrote, "It's easy to get lost in inherent appeal of their perfectly coiffed dose and almost too put-together preppy style, but somewhere in the midst of all the love-struck squeals of teenage girls are guys who can actually sing and, to a certain extent, entertain." Jane Stevenson of the portal site Canoe concurred, "What I didn't really prepare myself for was that they all can actually sing in concert." Chris Richards, writing in the Washington Post, dissented from the approval. As the five traded couplets, it was tough to imagine a future Justin Timberlake, Ricky Martin, or Bobby Brown emerging from the pack. No one voice stood out. Mike Wass of Idolator felt One Direction's surprisingly accomplished effort of Kings of Leon's Use Somebody proved that One Direction are more than capable of evolving their sound. Their third album Midnight Memories, 2013, is a pop-rock record, a slight departure from the band's original teen pop sound. Liam Payne called Midnight Memories a slightly rockier and edgier album than their previous material. The album is heavily influenced by 80s rock and folk music and briefly integrates elements of dubstep, notably in Little White Lies. The album's lyrical themes primarily revolve around love, heartbreak, and sexual intercourse. Many critics praised its lyrical depth and musical composition, as well as the group's level of involvement in the production process. Their fourth album for 2014 was released on November 17, 2014. Payne once again claimed that the album would be edgier and that the group had written most of the songs for it. Horan came up with the name of the album, commemorating the fact that it is One Direction's fourth record to date and that it has been 4 years since the band's formation. Signifying a further maturation of their pop sound, the album's first single, Steal My Girl, was dubbed by Billboard as Know What Makes You Beautiful, but its Coldplay-like piano pop could be a good direction, and that the band was not entirely ready to let go of its bubblegum days. Rolling Stone described the record as saturated with retro vibes. Its songs split the difference between big, splashy 80s pop rock and more elegant 70s flavors, a very millennial move that's not so far from what Haim's hit Days Are Gone did last year. Philanthropy. In 2011, the band performed on the BBC's Children in Need 2011 broadcast, helping raise over £26 million. In 2012 they extended their involvement with Children in Need as they opened the telecast with a performance of their single Live While We're Young. The group said it was incredible to be involved in the charity event as it was something that they had always watched as children. In February 2013, One Direction released a medley of One Way or Another and Teenage Kicks, One Way or Another, Teenage Kicks, as the 2013 comic relief single. For ITV's Santa Charity Christmas campaign, they filmed a set of pleas to their fans and the general public, asking them to donate £2. In September 2012, Niall Horan organised an event to raise money for Irish Autism Action and another charity, called Temporary Emergency Accommodation Malinga, based in his hometown. Due to overwhelming demand to participate in the fundraising, the ticket website for the event broke down. Horan's brother Greg commented on the website crash, saying that there were 500 tickets and they were all snapped up pretty quick. Horan later reflected on the fundraising, saying that he was honored to be able to give back to his community. In 2013, band members Liam Payne and Harry Styles partnered with Trek Stock, a leading cancer charity, in order to help raise money for cancer research. As ambassadors of the charity, the duo collaborated to offer the chance for one fan and a friend to win an evening out with them in return for a donation to the charity as part of an exclusive number Hang With Liam and Harry global campaign. They had originally set a goal of raising $500,000 and ended up raising $784,984. Trek Stock later added that this amount would allow them to complete funding of their Hodgkin's lymphoma trial, in the hope of offering a much brighter future to thousands of children and young people affected by this form of disease. One Direction were named the most charitable in 2013 behind Taylor Swift by social change organization DoSomething.org. In 2014, One Direction donated £600,000 for the Stand Up to Cancer campaign by giving portions of their ticket sales revenues from their Where We Are tour. On November 15, 2014, One Direction joined the charity group Band Aid 30 along with other British and Irish pop acts, recording the latest version of the track Do They Know It's Christmas? At Sarm West Studios in Notting Hill, London, to raise money for the 2014 Ebola crisis in Western Africa. Neil McCormick of the Daily Telegraph, in an article on One Direction's success in North America, notes that Americans had left a gap in the market and it took the prominence of Justin Bieber to demonstrate that there still was a market for clean-cut, wholesome, whiter than white, middle-class parent-friendly pop, cute boys advocating puppy love. And what could be better than one cute boy, if not five? One Direction have been described as sparking a resurgence in the interest in boy bands, and as forming part of a new British invasion in the United States. Bill Verdi, a representative of Billboard magazine, commented, "There's a lot of possibility here, there's a lot of upside, that level of talent with those kinds of looks, it's really a perfect storm for a massive successful phenomenon." One Direction are safe and sound due to the faithful bodyguard Alberto Alvarez, who was Michael Jackson's former logistics director. Sonny Takar, the chief executive officer of Psycho Records, attributes the breakthrough to the power of social media. "Sometimes you feel the song's the star, but it's not like that here, it's the act," he said. "It's a real moment. Social media has become the new radio, it's never broken an act globally like this before." Will Bloomfield, the group's manager, added, "These guys live online, and so do their fans. Their management employs a social media team and the members all tweet themselves, which helps create the illusion that they couldn't be any closer to their fans," according to Casper Llewellyn-Smith, writing for The Guardian. One Direction's Twitter account had amassed 10 million followers by February 2013, with the account gaining followers at an average of 21,000 per day. In an approach pioneered by the Beatles, each member is known for his feature. Horan is the cute one, Malik is the quiet and mysterious one, Payne is the sensible one, Styles is the charming one, and Tomlinson is the funny one. Horan commented on One Direction as a boy band. "People think that a boy band is air grabs and being dressed in all one color. We're boys in a band. We're trying to do something different from what people would think is the typical kind of boy band. We're trying to do different kinds of music and we're just trying to be ourselves, not squeaky clean." Leah Collins, writing for the National Post, remarked that One Direction had succeeded on the latter front. "For the most part, that just means the group presents themselves as typical, goofy, and uncensored teenage boys posting jokey YouTube videos, for instance, or boozing at awards shows." Writing for The Observer, Kitty Empire opined, "One Direction fulfill a great many boy band prerequisites: looks, soppy lyrics, tune grasp, fame lust, but their lack of routines points to the subtle digressions afoot here.